Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. We continue with Yoga Vasistha. Presently, you have the story of a great king who answers 6 questions presented by a Vetala. And Vetala is the spirit of mortality. And the great king is every soul potential for attaining enlightenment. So you are the great king known as Sajjana. So focus on how the questions are presented and their answers. Questions and answers, they open the field of your inquiry. What we mean by vichar. Vichar means you have to have a full understanding of the questions and their answers. Each question has the same answer. First question was about who is the light of lights and in whose beam of light countless world systems scintillate. And the king answered that question. The answer is Brahman, the absolute self. And that absolute self is the innermost essence. Section 72. Referring to the second question, what is that great wind which continues to arouse the dust storm, wherein every dust particle is a universe? The king answered. The king is now answering that question. The great self is that wind in which the existence of time, akasha, space, and energy are like dust particles. Whenever we talk of world system, it relates to time, space, and causation. World system is an experience created by chittavrittis, thought waves of your mind. The world system is a kind of a show, like a cinema show. The reality behind this world system is the screen. The screen state is pure consciousness. That is Brahman, the absolute. So, consider all the energy that is involved in projecting the show. That all that energy relates to Brahman. If you realize the screen, then all projections become just an external appearance. they become illusory. So, it is realizing Brahman is like realizing a big storm, a dust, rather a wind, powerful wind that blows away all your projections. It's all allegorical. So you have to be a literary person and a poetic mind. Because Yoga Vasistha is profound poetry and profound literature. But that's again, from a broad point of view, if you want to be enlightened, you have to go through many stages of inspiration. Turning from perspiration to inspiration is a great mystic art. And only a poet can do it. With reference to the third question, though wandering through thousands of dreams, what is that pure substratum which is never abandoned? Countless dreams, or consider dream within dream, that the description of projection, the worlds that you experience in projection, they are all appearances. But imagine, if you watch a cinema show, follow a allegorical setting. In the cinema show, you find someone seated by a TV, watching a show. Now in that TV, there is another one seated watching the show. Go on and on to limitless. How many word systems are there? Countless. But all these word systems, all this experience of multiplicity is illusory. The reality behind all of them is only the screen. And the screen is pure self, Brahman. And you are that Brahman in reality, led by your stupid mind, dull mind, or unenlightened mind. You view yourself as the body, and you are looking for your fulfillment in a world which is dream within dream within dream within dream. That's the profound revelation. Experiences in the world are like movement from one dream to another. The world process is a long dream, but in spite of the changing conditions in the world process, the self that is the sustainer of waking, dream, and deep sleep, which is the support of numerous cycles of birth and death, is ever unaffected. See how much the self supports all your experiences during your life. And all the experiences that will come as your soul moves from life to life through the cycles of birth and death. But while all this is there, the reality, the screen, has not changed ever. It is just the same. And is that reality alone that exists? These show aspect is appearance, illusion, maya. Therefore, it is impossible for the soul to abandon its essential nature while it sojourns through numerous dreams. With reference to the fourth question, what is that subtle atom which remains within the innermost center of the plantain stem of the universe? After all the layers of illusion that constitute the universe are peeled off into nothingness. To this the king replied, the world process consists of layers after layers of illusion. When you inquire each layer, first layer is your physical body, called Annamaya Kosha, food sheath. Second layer is your pranic sheath, Pranamaya Kosha. Third layer is Manomaya Kosha, mind and senses. Fourth layer is Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellect and ego. And fifth layer is Anandamaya Kosha, your causal unconscious. And as you go on looking for who am I, you are nowhere in these layers. You peel off the physical layer, I am not the body. And you peel off and go on peeling off. And ultimately what you find, nothing that the mind conceives of as existing reality. The mind itself is negated. So what is left is big void, big zero. From one point of view, from another point of view, that is what Brahman is. Turn the whole universe into zero, and you are a hero. It is the self that sustains the illusory modifications of the world process. Just as cotton is the sustainer of a dress made of cotton. Now this simile is given called Laya Chintan. Your physical body is composed of elements. You don't have to break the body down, but just understand. In your mind, you turn your body into soft fibers of tattvas and go into further causation, and you find further subtler silken dress, as it were, subtler and more profounder. The body dissolves into mental process. Mental process dissolves into your bhavana process, feeling process. Feeling process dissolves into jnana process, understanding process. An understanding process dissolves into absolute Brahman. All these allegorical way of describing. So don't go into big confusion. Referring to the fifth question, what is that atom before the majesty of which even the whole cosmos, the very orb of the sun and Mount Meru, pale into insignificance? Atom relates to the subtlest core of the entire universe. Allegorically, the supreme cause or the supreme reality behind the entire universe. If you think of all your cinema show like a big tree, every show is a branch, every show is leaves, flowers, fruits, countless fruits and countless branches come. But what is the seed behind all this big tree, this screen? It's allegorical, so don't work hard. How can a screen be a seed? The self is that atom because it cannot be perceived by the senses and the mind, but yet it contains the whole universe within itself. Dreaming consciousness is subtler than the astral channels, and yet it contains the objects of dream. How your whole dream is experienced by you in a subtle way, without the support of your physical world. And that's only a sample. In the same way, the self being the subtlest reality contains all that exists. Your waking consciousness contains dream consciousness. And dream has endless series, dream within dream, within dream, within dream. So the sustaining reality behind all this is unshaken. It remains ever the same. And that is the absolute Brahman. Referring to the sixth question, what is that subtle mountain in a small rock in which there abide the three worlds? The king answered to that question. That mountain is the self. It is an infinitesimal aspect of the immutable self that sustains the world process without undergoing any change within itself. Though sustaining a space, that rock has no space within itself. This is all allegorical. It's like a big mountain. That's Brahman. In that mountain, think of just a little rock. In that rock, there is a vast universe. So you can think of how many universes can be. Brahman has countless extension of that little rock. Brahman is infinity multiplied by that little rock. Though sustaining multiplicity and differentiation, that rock is one homogeneous mass of individual existence, just like we'll point a finger to the sky. That 1 inch of the sky there, through which shines a star. To your eyes, it's 1 inch of the sky. The sky can't be inches. The sky cannot be studied in the terms of time, space. I'm talking allegorical way. The world in its essence is that immutable rock of the self. Having heard the answers presented by the king to his questions, the Vetala, the spirit of death, was immensely satisfied. Again, allegorical. If you have that type of enlightenment as a result of answering these questions, death cannot touch you because you are Brahman. Realizing that the king was an enlightened soul, He forgot about his hunger and entered into deep samadhi. So that's what happened to the Vetala. The king is the self roaming in the darkness of the world process. He's reiterating all that I have said. As we call Gada Parinyaya. Hear it again. He is disguised in the form of an individual soul, traveling through the world of which he is in reality the ruler and master. This is the story of every soul. Every soul is that king, has become oblivious of its essential nature and is roaming in the world of time and space. But if you are aspirant and enlightened, you are the ruler. You are roaming in the world, not as a person of bondage, but liberated sage. Liberated sage is like the King Sajjana, who can answer all these questions. Overpowered by ignorance, the individual soul is unable to discover its essential glory. Therefore, it is caught by the Vetala of death. If you are not enlightened, death asks you these questions and you become dumbfounded and you give wrong answers. And then the death chews you up and you wander into another embodiment. Subtle point to understand. Death is not just a happening that occurs just by chance or by accident. There's a law behind it. No one will meet death unless there is karma behind it. And karma will exist if one's mind has not answered these questions, if one has not reached that state of enlightenment. Therefore, the purpose of life is to explore these questions and their answers by the practice of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana, listening. Listen again and again. Reflect with the practice of visualization, affirmation, assertion, and all this is called chintan. Simple way people term it, reflection, practice of reflection. And you enter into nididhyasana state. When reflection goes so deep, your thought waves, they are not going after countless objects of the world, but your thought waves have turned into Brahmakara Vritti, intuitive vision. It is the whole mind flowing in one way to remove the veil of ignorance. Mind moving Godwards, mind flowing towards Brahman, and that brings about the end of the show process. Remember always those two terminologies, bhava pratyaya, pratyaya bhava. All your experiences are based on mental projections. That's called bhava pratyaya. Experiences that are associated with projection. All those experiences go to constitute your worldly existence. When you attain liberation, this whole projection has to be withdrawn to let the screen shine in its absolute way. And that's called pratyaya bhav. Bhav pratyaya means presence of projection. Pratyaya bhav, absence of projection. So the two stages are there. Pratyaya bhav movement becomes possible by nididhyasan, the highest state of samadhi. But in practice, it's a progressive movement. In spite of whatever the world is, when you allow your mind to develop devotion, surrender to God, you are paving the way to pratyaya bhav. You are not depending upon the world to give you the answer to your question. You are depending upon the divine hand. And you are not depending, you are discovering that all that you are doing is led by the divine hand. And more importantly, you are essentially Brahman. What you consider yourself to be as a soul, as a jiva, that's due to ignorance. Whatever a reflected sun accomplishes, that accomplishment is really the accomplishment of the sun. And then another level is no accomplishment at all. Sun is the only reality. The purpose of life is to seek answers to these questions that refer to the nature of the self. In essence, one must attain self-realization in order to be free from death. So self-realization is the remedy for mortality virus. Self-realization lies in discovering the immensity of the self and the insignificance of the world process. These 6 questions and their answers reveal the nature of that luminous sun in whose single ray the entire universe is but a scintillating sand particle. If you want to have mathematical understanding, how is the world process related to Brahman? Consider Brahman the sun. The world process, out of the sun there is few rays that go to form beam of light. In that beam of light, countless sand particles scintillate, just in a little few rays of the sun. Consider every little sand particle as universe. Now you can figure out the extension of the world process. Countless universes are just like sand particles shining in a beam of light. Just one little beam of light. What we speak of the absolute self. In other words, anything that you are seeing, multiply it by a million or a trillion, and still it remains just a drop in the bucket. Therefore, your goal is not in the realm of your mental thought, in the realm of your mental visualization. Your role is when my mind is completely sublimated. Chitta becomes chit. Chitta devoid of thought waves of your mind. Like the projections, when they are withdrawn, they're nothing but a screen. When the soul is enlightened about its essential nature, it becomes one with Brahman. It is no longer subject to birth and death. Swami Vasistha then continued, "Thus, O Sri Rama, this world is sustained by the atom of consciousness." Another allegorical term, just like I described the seed. The term can be used atom, the subtlest source of the entire universe is Brahman, the Absolute. The subtle source of a big giant tree is little seed. But that's allegorical. Even the seed-like structure is not there. But you can consider Brahman as the seed. And the whole world process has emanated from that seed. And how many world processes can emanate? There is no limit. Like a ghost imagined by a child, the world process is dispelled by the force of inquiry. How many ghosts a child begins to imagine? And you don't have to think of a child. Every human mind is running wild like an ignorant child. Having withdrawn your mind from all objects of the world, directed to the self, you will find infinite peace when you abide in your essential nature, free from dullness of the mind. Develop that firm intuitive intellect which enables you to attain even what seems impossible. Just as King Bhagiratha brought down Ganges from the heavenly realms, Yoga Vasistha opens to another interesting story, the mystic episode of Bhagiratha bringing the Ganges. But behind it, Ganges is Jnana Ganga, wisdom. Every soul is Bhagiratha that brings wisdom that attains enlightenment. Attaining enlightenment is like bringing Ganges, which purifies the three worlds. In other words, attaining enlightenment is promoter of well-being for the entire universe. Sarva bhuti hite rata. Like a spring season does amazingly good to the entire forest, as if Ganges has been brought that purifies the whole universe. But the type of effort that is needed to bring the Ganges, that's the effort an aspirant must be inspired with. Everyone has to work following the example of Bhagiratha. So this type of effort is called Bhagirath effort, Herculean effort. And we leave the King Bhagiratha's story for next time. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Rasa, grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat.